Lord Vader, can you hear me?
Yes, Master.
Hello and welcome back, friends. Get ready for a major trip down memory lane. Imagine this: grand intergalactic battles in a faraway galaxy filled with aliens, droids, and two warring forces in space. Yes, guys, I'm talking about one of the greatest creations in history, Star Wars. Indeed, the battle between the Jedi and the Sith in the Galactic Republic is a celebrated pop culture phenomenon. But hold on, have you ever wondered why the Sith always hide under a mask? Well, let's not keep you guys waiting and dig up the truth behind those terrifying masks. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Embracing the dark side. The Sith are vividly portrayed as antagonists in the Star Wars franchise because of their frightening appearance. They're driven by a crooked desire for dominance in the galaxy, but what primarily sets them apart is their unsettling look. George Lucas, the director of this classic sci-fi, added visual cues like gloomy clothing, demonic tattoos, animal-like eyes, and above all, masks to ensure that the audience easily identifies their menacing nature. Dating back to the very first Star Wars installment in 1977 to the latest series Acolyte in June 2024, the Sith and their masks remain inseparable. Sith wearing masks in the Star Wars world is not uncommon, be it Darth Vader or Darth Red. Darth Vader was the first Sith who donned a mask, mainly out of necessity rather than a choice. While transforming into the Sith Lord, Vader sustained injuries and had to wear a mask as a means of survival. Vader's masked look was followed by the leader of the Knights of Ren, Kylo Ren. Kylo, who wore a mask in the sequel trilogy as part of his team's affiliation, though the reasons for wearing the mask may be different. Vader and Ren's mask legacy lives on, as seen in future developments. In several phases of the Star Wars fable, the traditional Sith customs, as well as the modern One Sith Order, frequently required members to wear a mask. The Star Wars creators have indicated that the reason for this practice is indeed ominous. We witnessed Darth Red wearing a mask and explaining in Karina Becco and Gabriel Hardman's issue number 4 of Star Wars Legacy Volume 2. During a confrontation between Red and the captured Imperial Knight, a Grey Jedi, Red reflects on the doctrine of the Sith to wear masks, particularly for the young ones. Just a quick brush up, a Grey Jedi is neither fully committed to the dark nor light side. Okay, back to masks. He explains that by taking away their compassion and sense of self, this compulsory alienation makes people more vulnerable to the dark side of the Force. Though Red personally hates donning a mask, he acknowledges its usefulness in encouraging children to think and act like a Sith. These dehumanizing behaviors become generational as their students pass down this practice to future candidates. Once innocent children are indoctrinated into shedding all their empathy and embracing the dark side. This vicious cycle almost acts like a generational trauma. Taught to identify as inhuman, they disregard any life form in the galaxy. We can see this becoming the trend as both Darth Red and Darth Revan wear a mask, albeit in different timelines. The Sith mandate Force-sensitive children to wear a mask, highlighting their endless and vicious quest for power and authority, showcasing an unsettling and dark history of the Sith Order. Who knew a mask could hold so much power? Channeling the Force. Sith and their masks are an everlasting pair spanning through decades in the Star Wars universe. In the 2024 television series of the franchise, Acolyte, the Sith Lord's connection to the dark side was established by the masked face, even before their name or identity was revealed. Ever wonder where it all started? Needless to say, it began with the first Sith Lord, Darth Vader. Brought to the public by the 1977 film Star Wars, Vader was the first to sport black armor and a cape. This black, skull-shaped helmet made it easy to identify even from his shadow. Vader's helmet and armor completely covered his face, serving both as a respirator and a life support suit. In later Star Wars projects, whether in the canon or Legends timeline, the imagery of Darth Vader greatly influenced the Sith appearances. Darth Revan's iconic Mandalorian helmet became instantly famous in Knights of the Old Republic, while in the Old Republic, Darth Malgus had a mask working like a respirator for his battle injuries. Vader's role led to many plot twists in the narrative. For example, Kylo Ren wore a black mask in an attempt to emulate his grandfather in the sequel trilogy. When the myth surrounding the dark side in the Star Wars canon is taken into account, Sith masks can become important sources of power. They can help in channeling the dark energy for those who use them, as is frequently seen throughout the Star Wars installments. They can also strengthen a person's connection to the evil side of the Force, as demonstrated by Kylo Ren in the sequel trilogy of The Force Awakens. Kylo was able to recover the remains of Darth Vader's mask from his funeral pyre on Endor. The mask and armor of Vader were made of obsidian, which magnifies the power of the dark side. A group, the Acolytes of the Beyond, was formed in the wake of the Empire's defeat, as depicted by Chuck Wendig's Aftermath trilogy, and they gathered Sith artifacts, which made them even more evil. Among them were the Sith masks, traditionally giving them a darker and more fearsome appearance, and sometimes even changing their demeanor altogether. In this context, one of the Acolytes in Adam Christopher's Shadows of the Sith was possessed by a Sith mask. It enhanced her powers to an extent she never dreamed of. While the Jedi Order can continue to exist as ghostly versions of themselves in the Force, the Sith cannot maintain their spirits upon death. However, occasionally, their spirits are tied to some inanimate object or place. For instance, the spirit of Darth Bane torments his grave, while Darth Vader tied the spirit of the Grand Inquisitor to a Jedi outpost. This became an eternal trap for Jedi Knights. Later, the helmet of the Sith architect, Darth Momin, housed his spirit, allowing it to possess whoever wore it. I guess it's pretty evident why so many Sith are obsessed with their masks. A Sith tradition. Wearing a mask is an act of brotherhood, fraternity, and devotion of a Sith to the dark side. Throughout the Sith history, this continued tradition of wearing masks became a ritual of great unifying power for them. The sense of solidarity that comes from wearing these masks inspired the Sith in their struggle for mastery and domination at all costs. One of the ways the Sith declared themselves servants of the dark side, working in unison for their common purpose. Through the procedure of wearing the masks, the Sith Order initiates its new members into its fold, and strengthens the bond among them. This procedure is highly symbolic in meaning, enhancing the brotherhood and comradeship in the Sith Order. They're instilled with a feeling of belonging, whatever be their background or intentions. But masks also serve the purpose of the Sith in terrifying their opponents. The terrible appearance of the Sith mask, adorned with horns and spikes, or just horrifying grimaces used for psychological warfare and intimidation, is a potent weapon. It's evident how committed and blind they are to their mission when a bunch of Sith warriors don their menacing masks, and anyone who dares to stand against them would be met with fear and dread. The masks protect the face of the warrior from the elements of the galaxy, like extreme weather and hostile surroundings. Further, the masks can be used to enhance the physical strength of the Sith fighters, with increased sensory abilities and a stronger connection with the dark side of the Force. In time, this became the culture of the Sith, and was passed like a holy rite of passage from a master to the apprentice. This is a tradition that strongly fortifies their identity as evil agents, and always reminds them of their one and only objective, taking over power and eventually the cosmos. The Sith are united in identity through the wearing of these masks, and also uphold their warped ideology. Why do so many Sith have a nightmarish appearance? The mastermind behind Star Wars, George Lucas, had an underlying motive other than entertaining his audience. He wanted to give them moral lessons through the visual representation of the movie's characters. Sharp and obvious divisions between the heroes and villains were integral to his narration. While designing the Sith, Lucas meant to create a figure who would instantaneously leave an impression of fear, and thus draw attention to the ethical issue at the center of his narrative. For instance, through the representation of Darth Maul as a vision from a nightmare, Lucas proves that the main intention was to personify horror. Darth Maul instills terror, and his blood-red complexion and frightening black tattoos make him an evil force to be loathed and feared. The moment he hit the screens way back in 1999, an instant ripple was created amongst the audience that made him synonymous with the malice in the Star Wars galaxy. Further, the assassin trained in the ways of the dark side, Asajj Ventress, emotes a devilish aura even before she pulls out her lightsabers to fight. The 12 tattoos on her head, one for each warlord she killed, are a grim reflection of her malevolent past. Through such visual cues, Lucas effectively conveys Ventress's allegiance to the dark side, and solidifies her role as a formidable antagonist. A passion for dark, menacing clothing seems to find its roots in the Sith visual identity. Whether the dark-robed and hooded face of the Emperor, or the dark metal and fabric suit of Darth Vader, they are physical manifestations of their inner darkness. This fashion is not unique to the contemporary Sith, but was inherent even in the ancient ones, such as Darth Nihilus and Darth Traya, who were portrayed in the quintessential black robes. Moreover, most of the Sith masked their faces to be even more mysterious and ominous. Enigmatic Revan, succumbing to the dark side, had taken on a mask that was material proof of the evil to which he had succumbed. The most iconic of all, Darth Sidious, popularly known as the Emperor, exuded a vicious vibe through his rickety and sinister appearance. Long before his disfigurement at the hands of his own Force powers, Sidious' facial features revealed the depths of his wickedness. In the novel Darth Darth Plagueis by James Luceno, young Sidious catches a glimpse of his reflection during a moment of his murderous rage, illustrating the intrinsic animalistic aspect of his being. His trademark Sith eyes seal his place as the ultimate evil in the Star Wars universe. On the other hand, the Lord of Hunger, Darth Nihilus, used his spirit to ingrain his mask with power from the dark side, which scared people. Such masks, with their sinister design, are very potent symbols of the devilry that the Sith breed. The bitterness of adopting the dark side is also reflected in how most of them survive on mechanical attachments. Darth Vader's most well-known suit is testimony to the scars he suffered, both in bodily and emotional sense, and is a constant reminder of what he had to give up for power. In this regard, even Darth Malgus and Darth Maul needed respirators or artificial limbs to mend the damage done to them by the dark side. Marvelous verdict. I guess we finally uncovered the reality behind those spine-chilling masks of the Dark Lords. Their appalling appearances, coupled with the Sith Order's wicked schemes for control, are bound to make your heart skip a beat. And think about it, the masks not only induce fear, but work for a range of reasons. The masks are definitely a Sith's most loyal servant. Okay guys, that's all for today. I had a lot of fun unraveling the mask mystery. Let us know how you liked it in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!